Garenvel was a simple man, human mechanic, nothing special. He had spent most of his life fixing broken machines, old ships, damaged drones, or cargo haulers that had seen better days. After leaving the military, he became a junker. Flew around space, searching for old wrecks, hoping to find something useful or something valuable to sell. On this day, Garen received a salvage signal from a distant planet, broken and empty, floating in space like a forgotten memory. The report was short. Wreckage, unknown vessel. Hazard zone Class B. That didn't scare Garen. He had been in worse places. He thought maybe he'd find old parts, maybe a burnt-out ship or a damaged AI. So he flew to the broken planet. It was barely a planet now, cracked like a shattered egg, floating in pieces. Only gravity held it together. Garen landed near a crashed ship. The ship was big, old, and clearly not human-made. Some parts were burned, others were still glowing, hissing with gas. He stepped out carefully, holding his scanner in one hand and a small plasma tool in the other. The ship groaned under his boots as he walked. The air was thin. Lights flickered like dying stars. The walls had strange symbols, alien writing. Garen couldn't read it. He had seen many alien ships, but this one felt different. He moved deeper inside. At first, it was quiet. It's too quiet. Then he heard something. A low sound. A growl. Garen stopped. His heart began to beat faster. It wasn't a machine sound. It wasn't air leaking or metal breaking. That was a living sound. Something alive was in here. He stepped closer, shining his light around a corner. Then he saw Etan froze. Creature, massive, beautiful, terrifying. An alien dragon. But she was chained to the floor with glowing manacles. Her scales were dark silver, now covered in cuts and burns. Her wings were torn. Her body trembled. But her eyes, they still burned with fire. And curled under her, barely moving, was a small shape. A baby. A hatchling. Garen could hardly breathe. He had seen strange things, but nothing like this. A chained alien dragon and her baby, left behind in a broken ship on a dying world. He didn't move for a moment, just watched. The dragon growled again, softer this time. Not a threat, more like a warning or pain. Garen slowly raised his hands. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said. His voice was calm, gentle. The hatchling let out a soft chirp. The mother turned her head slightly, eyes locked on Garen. Her body covered her baby, even in her weak state. He felt something heavy in his chest. Not fear, not danger. It was sadness. Someone had chained her, hurt her, left her here to die. And the baby too, Garen whispered. Who would do this too? You. And then he heard a voice in his head. You are not them. He flinched, shocked, looked around. Did you speak to me? No sound came, only the feeling in his mind. Only minds that listen can hear. It was her, the dragon. She was speaking to him not with words, but with thoughts. Her voice was tired, rough. Garen stared at her, heart racing. You can talk, he said softly. I am weak, hurt, afraid. But I see you are not them. He took a slow step forward. I can help, he whispered. The dragon didn't answer, but she didn't growl either. That was enough. In that moment, Garen knew. This wasn't just a salvage job. This wasn't about parts or machines anymore. This was something different. Something alive. Something worth saving. Garenvel stood frozen. The broken ship around him was dark and cold, but he felt warm inside, nervous, confused, but pulled by something deep. The dragon stared at him. Her golden eyes didn't blink. She didn't growl again. She didn't move, but her body was still tense, protecting the hatchling under her wing. The little one shivered, pressing against its mother for warmth and safety. Garen's fingers twitched. He wanted to run. He had never stood so close to a creature this large, this powerful. But he didn't move away. I'm a mechanic, he said softly, like he was afraid to break the silence. I fix things. The dragon didn't speak again, not with voice or mind. But her eyes followed him as he took one careful step forward. He crouched low, scanning the glowing chains. They were human-made. He knew that designed tight clamps powered by high-energy locks, the kind used on dangerous things. These were not for transport. These were prison chains. At his mouth felt dry. "They did this to you," he whispered, "my kind." He looked closer. The chains were bolted into the floor, not even part of the original ship, stalled later. The floor around the bolts was scorched, like someone had forced them in with heat and power. "This wasn't an accident," Garen said. "They trapped you, used you." The dragon didn't move, but he could feel it now, a sadness. In the air, like old pain, heavy and cold. He turned his eyes to the hatchling. So small. Its scales were dull gray, but in the light, he saw hints of what they could be, shiny like polished silver, if healthy. The baby let out a weak sound, almost like a broken song. Garen's chest tightened. That sound, it reminded him of a cry. A quiet one, like a child who had been crying too long to cry loudly anymore. He looked back at the mother. "They left you, didn't they?" For a moment he thought there would be no answer. Then the voice came into his head again. "Ship crash. They ran. Left us." Just that simple words. Heavy meaning. "You were just tools to them," Garen said, feeling anger build in his throat. "They didn't care. When the ship broke, they didn't even try to save you, used for tests. For war. We were strong, so they kept us." The dragon's body trembled not from fear, but pain. Her wing was torn badly. Blood had dried along her side. Her breathing was slow and rough. The baby nudged its mother, making another weak sound. The dragon didn't react. She was too weak. Garen looked around the room. No food, no water, no help. Just metal. Cold and empty. They had been alone here for days, maybe weeks. And no one came. No one but him. "Going to help you," Garen said, standing. "I don't care what they did to you. You don't deserve this." He pulled out his plasma cutter. It wasn't strong enough to cut the chains fast, but it was all he had. He knelt beside the first lock. "I'll get you free," he said. "I swear." The dragon watched him. She didn't stop him. That was enough. As the cutter sparked and hissed, Garen felt something inside him change. He had come looking for scrap, for old parts to fix. But what he found was something more, something broken, something forgotten, something worth saving. He wouldn't leave without them. Garen worked slowly, with careful hands. His fingers were shaking, not from fear, but from something deeper. Sadness, anger, hope. He had fixed many broken things in his life, but never like this. The dragon lay still, chained and silent. Her hatchling whimpered, too tired to cry. Garen knelt beside her, tools ready. The metal cuffs around her legs were thick, glowing with alien energy. He scanned them. Human tech. High-security locks. These weren't made for transport. These were. Made for prison. Garen's jaw tightened. "They used you," he whispered, almost to himself. "Then they left you behind." Yes, the dragon's voice came gently into his thoughts. "They used our fire. Our minds took blood. Took memories." The hatchling chirped weakly, pressing against its mother's neck. Garen looked at the small creature, barely the size of a backpack. It had tiny wings, soft scales, and big golden eyes. Those eyes stared at him, not afraid, just waiting. He took a breath. He had to try. Using his small cutter tool, he began working on the first lock. It sparked, resisting. It was meant to. Last, he whispered softly to keep the dragon calm. "Hold on," he said. "I'm not giving up on you." Each lock took almost an hour. His tools weren't made for this kind of job. They were for ships, not soul-crushing chains. But he kept going as he worked. The dragon shared small images with him, flashes of memory, metal walls, cold floors, scientists in suits, bright lights, pain, needles, fire forced from her lungs, cages, screams, and one final memory, the crash. The ship falling, alarms ringing, people running. No one looked back. No one helped. They left her. They left her baby. "Why do you help us?" she asked. Her voice in his mind was full of pain but also confusion. "You are human," Garen paused. He looked into her golden eyes. "I know," he said softly. "But not all humans are the same." He didn't know why he cared so much. Maybe it was the way the hatchling tried to stand, even though it was so weak. Or maybe it was the look in the dragon mother's eyes. Not hate, not anger, just tired. Pain. She had been through so much, and she was still trying to protect her child. He didn't answer her question with more words. He answered with action, kept working. One shackle after another. When the final lock clicked and fell to the floor, Garen let out a long breath. The dragon didn't move right away. Her body trembled, her legs weak. But she lifted her head. Her wings twitched. She turned toward her. Hatchling and gently pulled it close. "You freed us," she said. Garen wiped his forehead. His arms hurt. His chest felt heavy. But he smiled. "I only fixed what others broke," he said. She looked at him. Not just looked, saw him. The hatchling walked toward Garen on wobbly legs. It sniffed his boots, then rubbed its head against his knee. Garen laughed softly. "You like me, huh?" he said. "Guess that means I'm stuck with you now." Picked up the small creature and walked to his shuttle. The mother dragon followed slowly, limping. Garen helped her up the ramp. He didn't have a big ship, just a small cargo hauler, but he made space. He adapted the gravity, added heat, covered the walls with soft panels. He gave them a home. And in his heart, he knew this was no longer about repair jobs or money. This was about mercy, about a choice. He chose them, even if the galaxy would not understand. Weeks had passed since Garen had rescued the dragon and her hatchling. He had fixed what he could, built the back of his ship to fit her large body, adjusted the gravity, added warm lights, and made space for her and the little one to rest. The hatchling, who now chirped happily and even bit at Garen's boots, was healing. The mother dragon was still quiet, still guarded, but her strength had returned. Her scales were brighter now, not shining like before, but glowing gently. Her wings still had scars, but she could move it again. They did not talk much, but their silence was full of meaning. She still sent thoughts to him sometimes. Not words, just feelings. Sadness. Thanks. Curiosity. One day. As stars shimmered outside the ship's window, Garen sat at his control panel. His eyes were tired. He hadn't slept much. He was looking at a screen, one that showed something terrible, a bounty. Omega-class specimen escaped. Dragon subject Z-135. Dangerous, hostile. Last seen in unknown sector.
Warning.
Human accomplice. Suspected? Arrest on sight. There was a reward. A very big one. Garen stared at the screen, then looked back, toward the warm cargo bay behind him, where the mother and hatchling slept. They were peaceful, safe. He reached out and deleted the message, turned off the comms. No one was going to take them, not while he lived. That same night, the mother dragon came forward. Her eyes glowed softly. She stepped near Garen and sat in front of him, quiet. "You know what they will do to you?" Her voice echoed in his mind. "They will come. They will hurt you too." "I know," Garen said quietly, "but I'm not letting anyone take you or your child." She looked down at the floor, then back into his eyes. "You are strange for a human. Most run from us." Garen gave a small smile. "I fix broken things. But some things need more than fixing. They need kindness." She stepped closer, slowly. Then, to his surprise, she gently touched her forehead. To his chest. It was a strange moment, soft, full of something deep, not fear, not pain, something like trust. In dragon culture, this was rare. A sacred gesture, a bond. "You are not just fixer," she said. "You are pact. You are blood and fire." The hatchling climbed onto Garen's lap and chirped, nuzzling against him. He laughed, a real full laugh he hadn't felt in a long time. He whispered, "You're family now." A few days later, the bounty hunters came. They were fast, armed, dangerous. They expected a weak mother, a scared baby, and a stupid human. But they were wrong. Garen had changed his ship. reinforced it with extra armor, some even made from broken dragon scale. He built new weapons, fixed old shields, and made the ship faster and stronger. When the battle came, the mother dragon rose with full fire in her chest. She roared, wings wide, flames pouring from her mouth. The hatchling chirped and flew in circles, too small to fight but full of spirit. Garen stood at the front, beside the dragon, not behind her. He fought not with fear, but with fire in his heart. They won. The bounty hunters never stood a chance. After that, word began to spread about a ship called the Ember Nest, about a dragon and her child, about the human who stood by them. Garen was no longer just a mechanic. He was their protector, their family. As stars passed by and silence filled the space, the dragon rested beside him and whispered into his mind, "You didn't fix me." Garen looked at her, confused. "You freed me." He smiled again. A small, quiet smile. This time his heart didn't feel so heavy. It felt whole. Because on that broken world something beautiful had begun.